How we doing tonight? Well, it's Tuesday. I want to keep working on this L-shaped bench I started yesterday. And we're back at BNS Creations Workshop. Ran out 2x4s. It's raining. I don't want to go outside and get 2x4s from Lowe's or wherever and get them all wet and have to deal with that. So I'm going to take on table saw and I'm going to cut some. I got a spare piece of 1x12 here. I'm going to cut it down to 3.5 inches wide here on the table saw. Make my own 2x4. Sometimes you can adjust like that when you got some scrap laying around. So we're gonna do that. I'll be checking in, doing some videos periodically tonight, and we'll see what we get and see how far we get tonight, and hopefully we can get some drawers, or at least started on the drawers and maybe the top glued together. So I'll be taking some videos throughout the night. All right, so what I kind of did here, I made this table saw the other day, this little table here. And I know some of you expert woodworkers are gonna say, oh no, don't do this, but right now that's what I'm doing until I can get me a better workbench table and set me up a sled. But for now, what I did is I took my square and I put on this side of the blade and I ran me a mark. So what I do now is take whatever width I need, I'll make sure I got 3.5 inches here from that mark on both sides. Double check it a couple times. Make sure you use the same tape measure. Some tape measures are off. So when you're using two different ones, made that mistake. So I'm gonna cut this up a little bit. It's gonna get noisy. Turn your volume down until the saw's off, but it's about to get noisy. I'm gonna let y'all watch some of this saw, and we'll be back in just a minute. went ahead and cut some 1.5 inch pieces because the size I use for my chair, I could never run out of 1.5 inch pieces. So, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or 1 board. Alright, I'm gonna cut the tabletop boards for the top, and then I'm gonna glue it together. I'm gonna tell you, I'll take some time right now to tell you, my most important tools that I use every day is 1, a square. 2 is my Kreg hoe, which I don't have the Kreg jig, but I have one. It's kind of made like it. It's this one right here. Same concept, different brand, a little bit cheaper. Man, you gotta have those. I used to think I could get by without them. Not doing work, and you want to hide the screws, and you want stuff to be held together and not pull apart, and all that kind of good stuff. Those are the 2 things I use every day. A good miter saw. Table saw, you can start with a generic one like I did and kind of modify it as you go. Clamps, gotta have your clamps. All that kind of good stuff. I'll take some more video here in a little bit and show about how I use the clamps and where when I start putting the top together. But right now I'm gonna cut some boards, and ain't gonna be much video, but we'll be back in a little bit. Now here what I did is, on some of these cuts where I got the table long enough, I can kind of built me a rail. I set my miter saw down into the table. Where it's as flush as I could get it. I mean, pretty daggone close. What I'll do is I'll take a block, and I got a magnetic end on this saw, so I'll set this block, in this case to 25 1/4. Take me a clamp, and I'll clamp it onto that rail that I put on the table. And now every time I do this cut, as long as I butt this up here, it's gonna cut on the same side of that blade, that same size every time. Just kind of the way I do it. I'll leave the camera on since it's down here and I got enough room to kind of show y'all what I'm talking about. I need 5 of these cuts, so it's gonna get loud. Turn the volume down. Okay, there's those cuts. I'm gonna drill some Kreg jig holes, or I call them Kreg jig. It's not a Kreg jig, but it's the same concept. Kreg jigs are blue, so this is, I think, is a General Mechanic. I think I got it at Home Depot for 40 bucks, when Kreg jigs is anywhere from $79 on sale on up for the same type system. So I'm gonna stop the video, then I'll start it again once I start drilling some of these holes, kind of show you how far apart I space them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put some screws in these boards, or put some holes in the boards for the screws here in a little bit. Normally I like to find what side, the better side of the board, or what grain pattern I want on the outside. And then you'll flip the inside over and that's where you're gonna put the Kreg holes in it. Sometimes you gotta prop it up a little bit, just kind of help you out. I normally take and put one on the end, 6-foot board. I'll put one on the end, one in the middle, one on the end. And the opposite board, I'll come in and put one kind of in between those. So each board I have 5 pressure points, or 5 points of screws on it, plus the glue. Wood's gonna move, so it's gonna separate a little bit as it is. This is pine, so it's soft wood. So if it's real cold outside, it's gonna shrink. If it's real hot outside, it's gonna expand. It's kind of the joys of I think of adds character to the farm style. So we'll do a couple of these real quick. I'm gonna use this one as my end piece, so I don't need holes out here. The next one is heavy holes both sides. Again, I'll find what grain pattern I want. Some of these got real bad spots in them, so I don't mind the knots some of the times. It's a pretty good dent there in that one. But this one here is pretty ate up, so I think this is the best size. So remember, again, on this one, on both sides of this one, so 3 holes along the bottom, 2 holes along the top. That's how every board except for the 2 end boards will be done. I'll give you a quick tip real quick. These bits, these Kreg hole bits, they are about $16 to $19 a piece. And if you see right here, it's got the hole on the end where it kind of pre-drills for the screw. Well, if you don't pay attention, it's got measurements here that say 3/4, half, and 1.5 inches. Then you also got an adjustment here on some of them that have the same markings as far as that. If you raise this up to 3/4 of an inch, but you don't change it on this bit, you're gonna break it off. And then it's pretty much, I mean, I can still use this bit, but it's not good for the pilot holes for the screws. So I'll use this bit for something else that I need that wide, like the dog cages that I build, that I drill for the rebar. I can still use that to drill just the holes. So it's still a drill bit, but what it's made for, and that $20 bill you spent on it is no longer good anymore. So always pay attention, look at stuff before you just start drilling and cutting into stuff if you're just starting out, or you can learn the hard way. It's not always fun the hard way. I'm gonna turn this off and I'll be back here in a little bit. Doing it before I start, so we'll start gluing this table together. Before I start screwing together, I always get the clamps and I'll bring them in. Squeeze those two boards together as tight as the clamps will get them on each side. What I also like to do is take just to kind of hold it together, I'll take another board. This old, it can be an old scrap piece if you like, but I'll put it here in the middle of all these boards, and it kind of acts like the end clamps. It pulls the boards up together flat with this board, so it kind of helps it keep from getting the bevel in the center of the tabletop. So we're going to screw all this together real quick. Like I said, all I'm trying to do here is bring these middles up. So I'll put one in each middle of the board. When I'm running 2x6 by 2x6 together, I use 2.5 inch Kreg jig screws. You got to go down on your thickness if you go into thinner wood. always set your drill. I set this little Black & Decker is really about all I use this drill for is these Kreg jigs. But if you got the adapter where it stops, I usually set mine about 8, 9. That way you don't run it through, because if it grabs, you'll just run these boards right through and you'll have them sticking out the top of the tabletop. And that's what happens if you use a screw that's too long for what the board thickness you're using. So I'll just repeat this process all the way until I get the tabletop done and this desktop on this one, and then I've got the shorter ones to do, just so y'all understand the concept. I may let the tape run a little bit longer, so do a couple more to kind of show you. Okay, so I got the tops glued together. I get on camera, I just can't talk. I got the tops glued together. They're not mounted on the table yet. So this is what the desk is going to look like. So there's going to be drawers in this space right here. Probably have 2 drawers and a bottom shelf. But this is going to be where the chair is going to go. So typically, you're going to be sitting here and this would be to a wall, the edge of that, and it'd be a corner desk. But because I don't want her back to people that are coming in the door, her back's going to be to the wall, so this is what she'll be looking at in front of. So that's that. I'm going to let the top glue. I'm going to start trying to build the shelves here, build the drawers. Once I get all that done, I will take and hopefully put it all together. I may paint it and stain it before I put it together. But we'll see how that works out. I always do sometimes what I think I'm not gonna do. So that's the desk so far. All right, last video of the night. I'm about to go in. It's late. Got a drawer in. How about that? It's not perfect, but it works. It works. So that's it. I'll put the top on, or maybe sand it down and paint it first, and then start putting it together. And I'll have to make a door for that, but that'll be that.